Temporal is a leading workflow orchestration platform, offering a robust, durable way that guarantees workflow execution, state management, and error handling. One of the key things you need in a production-level application is the ability to reliably log this workflow execution. This log and event data you can use for debugging, you can use it for auditing, and for behavior analysis. And temporal applications are no different. It provides these logging capabilities, but at scale, they become hard to understand and to manage. This video looks at taking that temporal data into a Parseable instance instead. And by doing this, you get some of the following features. You can now ingest logs to a centralized logging repository. You can correlate events, errors, and activities. You can analyze and query these logs for debugging and monitoring. You could set up reliable audit trails for workflows, and you could set up alerts and notifications for critical events in workflows. For demonstration purposes in this video, I'm going to use a local instance of Temporal and Parseable, but any of these steps will also work on any cloud-hosted platform. There are two dependencies required for this example. One is Temporal. I'm using a Mac here, so I'm going to use Homebrew to install it. And then start the Temporal dev server with the following command. And you can see the ports that is running on. And you can see the UI here. Not much happening right now, of course. The other dependency is Parseable, which will run in a Docker container. So having a quick look through this command, this exposes the port. This mounts the volume data on the host machine into the container. This mounts the staging folder into the container, and staging is what Parseable uses to move local data to cloud hosting of data. And then we set those locations with these environment variables. This is the image, and this is giving it a name. That doesn't take very long to start, and you can see the default admin details here and where it is running. So let's open that up and use those default admin details that were in the prompt there. Now there's not much here at the moment. So first let's create a log stream called temporal test. And a log stream in Parseable is a logical and sometimes a physical collection of related log events. So in this case, we are calling this temporal test, but we could have multiple streams from different sources. And everything else you can just leave as default here. So for any good demo, we need some code to play with. Unfortunately, there is a Git repository full of code examples you can see at this URL. And I'm going to use this temporal food delivery example application. And basically it simulates a food ordering app workflow. So someone places an order, someone makes a payment, then the food is prepared, and then finally, there is pickup from a rider and then delivery, with each of these actions triggering a log in Parseable. This is a node application, so first and foremost, we need to install dependencies. Before I run the application, let's have a look at some of the code. To connect to the Parseable instance, we need a few bits of configuration. One is the URL to the local running version, including the API and the log stream path, then the admin account details, and the log stream to connect to. Also need to disable HTTP2 so it works on a local server. And as you can see here, the application is using Winston, which is a very versatile logging library for Node that offers many different transports for log data. This includes files, databases, and other third-party services, including Parseable, which you can see here. That is the dependency that this application is using, the Parseable Winston integration. In this case, down here, it creates a transport object that is then used to send logs from Winston to Parseable. With that in place, let's start the worker, which is this command here. So I'll start that in this window. And there we go. Nothing much is going to be happening right now. Things will start happening when we start the actual application. Okay, with that worker now running, it is time to start the application. And in this particular case, that is going to be starting the schedule here. So let's have a quick look at that. This starts the workflows, the order workflows, giving it an ID. And the frequency, so every 10 seconds, plus some debug information and some additional commands that can be run all outputted to the terminal. Let's have a look at this order workflow. And in here, you can see the different activities. These don't go into a tremendous amount of detail, just passing the order and user IDs that are generated here. And where they are defined is inside these activities. So these obviously don't do anything apart from just give debug information, but they give you that workflow and the passing the IDs from one to the other. So with all that in place, let's switch back to this and run it. And now you can see the activities are starting to flow in. And if you wait 10 seconds, there we go. That's a new batch coming in. Wait another 10 seconds. There we go. You can see the order IDs changing each time. Let's now jump into Parseable and see what that looks like there. Here we go. Here's the event so far. And the data that was sent to the logs and thus to Parseable. So the ID, the type, the number of tries, other metadata, the message that was sent, timestamps, token, etc., etc. There's a lot more here. And the workflow IDs and the workflow runs from Temporal. And if we take a look at what is going on in Temporal, you will see the various workflows that were completed here. And in this particular case, if I quit this, and you see the job has stopped. But if I start it running again, then things pick up again. So this is what Temporal is doing. There we go. And as you saw in that debug output earlier, you can also do things like pause, unpause, and speed up schedules. So I know what the order schedule is at the moment. So I can pause it and events should stop coming in. Kind of hard to see, I guess, but yeah. And equally, there'll be no more workflows coming through to Temporal. We can unpause it. So now things should start again. There we go. And more events coming in. And also, at the moment, it's set to 10 seconds. You can also do this intriguing go faster. And now it'll come every 5 seconds, so this will move a lot quicker. There you go, you can see that changing far quicker now. And equally, more data. There we go. And more workflows. And finally, to stop it all, you can do this delete option and everything stops. And no longer continues. And using a tool like Parseable, and we can now see there's even more events coming in. So now got up to several hundred, and this will keep going. If we wait, it will just keep ticking along with more and more. So after a while, these become a little bit too hard to manually see. So say, for example, someone calls up with an inquiry and they have their order ID. So let's say 635. We can filter based on the message. Apply that and just find those orders and see if maybe one of these activities didn't happen. And these could also be saved. So that doesn't completely make sense because there's a fixed value there. But maybe, for example, a filter we could save would be something like looking for successful payments. So apply that, and we can see all the successful ones, and now save that. And now there are filters that we can just jump into right away to get the current status of that filter. And that's it. You have just leveled up your temporal observability game. By integrating Parseable, you have created a powerful logging platform that allows for easy querying, analysis, and alerting. Remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. As you become more familiar with Parseable, you can create more application-based ingestion and fine-tune those alerts to match your specific needs.